Okay, picture this. A single conflict in the Middle East suddenly sends oil prices literally through the roof, crashes global markets, and pulls the world's most powerful nations into a massive, devastating war. That is the high-stakes reality we're staring down right now. It's a situation that has world leaders, military strategists, and economists absolutely on edge. Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to unpack exactly what's unfolding between the United States and Iran, and crucially, why it matters directly to you.
Because right now, the US and Iran are actively exchanging military strikes. The tension in the region is rising by the minute, and every new development sends shockwaves across international news desks. It forces all of us to ask the terrifying question currently facing the world. Are we witnessing the beginning of a much larger conflict? And look, that's not just idle speculation. That question strikes at the absolute core of global stability.
Okay, let's dive into this. To make sense of it all, we're taking a zoom-in, zoom-out journey. We'll start with number 1, the threat of war. Then 2, decades of historical tension. 3, the current military escalation. 4, the global economic impact. And finally 5, what happens next?
Section 1. The threat of war.
Section 2. Decades of historical tension. Now, to genuinely understand today's headlines, we have to impartially trace this rivalry back several decades, and this slide brilliantly illustrates that long, incredibly complex history. Relations changed dramatically right after Iran's 1979 Islamic Revolution. It just fundamentally altered the diplomatic landscape. In the decades following, well, we see this constant cyclical pattern. You get periods of tentative diplomacy, like the intense negotiations for the 2015 nuclear deal, but they're almost always interrupted by new crises, sudden withdrawals, and renewed hostilities. By the time we reach the present day, diplomatic channels are severely strained, and trust between the two governments is virtually non-existent.
And really, this recurring friction boils down to 3 major issues. First, heavy economic sanctions that isolate the Iranian economy and stifle its growth. Second, major disagreements over Iran's nuclear program, which remains a persistent, high-alert flashpoint for the international community. And third, complex regional power struggles involving a vast network of allied groups spread across the Middle East. It's like a giant geopolitical pressure cooker that never fully releases its steam, constantly threatening to just blow the lid off the entire region.
Section 3. The current military escalation.
Shifting our focus to the immediate, tit-for-tat actions happening right now, a really clear sequence emerges on the ground. Recent reports show the United States has carried out additional strikes, responding directly to previous attacks on American forces stationed in the area, with the stated goal being deterrence and protecting personnel. Conversely, Iran has responded with its own missile and drone attacks, projecting its military capabilities and signaling its resolve against external pressure. It's a direct, reciprocal exchange, with each side reacting to the other's maneuvers in real time, escalating the stakes with every single move.
Section 4. The global economic impact.
So, why does the rest of the world care so deeply about a localized exchange of strikes? Well, and this brilliantly illustrates it all comes down to one specific, absolutely crucial choke point on the map, the Strait of Hormuz. The sheer scale of vulnerability here is staggering. Nearly 1/5, 20% of all the world's seaborne oil passes through here. That is millions of barrels of crude oil every single day, flowing through a waterway that's only 21 miles wide at its narrowest point. Any disruption there ripples outward instantly, choking off the energy supply lines that power the modern world.
And when that route is compromised, a massive chain reaction begins. Step 1, the Strait of Hormuz route is disrupted. Step 2, that triggers a sudden, sharp rise in global energy prices as markets panic over supply shortages. Step 3, business costs increase everywhere from manufacturing and transportation. Actually, scratch that. It's not just businesses feeling it. Step 4 is that economies far, far away from the Middle East feel the pinch through widespread inflation. This isn't just geopolitical theory. This is exactly how a local conflict thousands of miles away directly raises the cost of your groceries, your gas, and your daily life.
But beyond the economic shockwave, analysts are issuing a stark warning. Continued escalation drastically increases the risk of drawing in neighboring countries. A localized conflict acts like a spark in a highly combustible area. It threatens a dangerous spillover effect that could destabilize allied nations and completely rewrite regional alliances.
Section 5. What happens next? We are currently sitting in a highly precarious balance between things cooling down and boiling over completely in the coming weeks. There are basically 2 potential paths forward here. On one hand, diplomacy. Back-channel negotiations, international mediation, and careful de-escalation strategies could still reduce tensions before they spiral out of control. But on the other hand, escalation. Every single new strike normalizes the conflict, hardens political stances, and drastically raises the risk of a fatal miscalculation. Regardless of the path, the consequences for global security and global trade are absolutely profound.
Which leaves us with this final, incredibly important question. So, is the world heading toward a bigger war? The next few weeks may very well determine whether this crisis cools down or if it explodes into something much, much larger. Keep your eyes on the headlines and the supply chains because what happens next is going to impact us all. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep asking the big questions.